Welcome to your Daily Revolution podcast. Today's topic, accessing the beast inside. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Let's go! This is your Daily Revolution. Live in prosperity, we show you how to do it. There's no luck about it, we got the strategic blueprint.
Last night, we had a great conversation with my son. So I lifted my older and my youngest son in the gym. Then my wife comes and picks him up, drops off my middle son, and we go to basketball. He's got 2 hours of AAU basketball, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. He's been getting better. He's had some knee problems. He's been working with a physical therapist, and he's a big boy, right? He's definitely got the body of a guy. He weighs about 225 pounds. He's 12 years old, size 13 shoes, wide feet, big kid, but his body has the strength of his 12-year-old boy, right? He's 12 and his body's grown fast. He's put weight on, but he hasn't caught up in the strength yet. He's about to hit puberty. Well, last night he gets into the truck and man, breaks my heart. I could tell he was, you could just feel the energy of your kids. You can read their face when they're walking up. And so I'm like, all right, time to listen. So I'm like, how was practice? And he's like, I think I hurt my knee again. I'm like, okay, well, what happened? And he starts to talk, and I could just tell he's starting on a downward spiral of discouragement. And I just listen, I'm trying to get him to just let his emotions out, because in our home, we have a phrase. I'm like, is it okay to be angry? And they're like, yeah, of course it's okay. Right? It's okay to be angry. We're humans. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to cry. I want my boys understanding, there's no, you have to be this way all the time. Nah, we're humans. And when you're striving to win big in life and to do big things, you're going to feel emotions. Well, I could tell he'd had it. And he just started to cry and tear up. And then he's just saying Dad, I don't even know if I'll ever be good at this. And I could tell he was just discouraged. And then he started talking about his kids at school, man, they make fun of me and they fat shame me because I'm big. And he was in tears. And it was beautiful, because here's where the lesson came. My words turned into, man, you know what, son? And again, I'm rephrasing and recapping kind of what happened. I'm like, you know what, son? Good. Let it fuel you, buddy. And he's crying, and I'm like, again, I'm talking loud in the car. I'm like, let it fuel you, bud. And I'm like, listen, if you're going to be the best, if you're going to be a great basketball or a great football player, if you're going to be the best, you're going to be a great student and a great musician, whatever you want to do, son, take all this anger and let it fuel you, right? Let this fuel you. It's like gas on a fire, and just build up this anger inside, and then channel it. Channel it, son. Remember how you feel. How do you feel right now? He's like, I'm mad and I hate this. And we were going back and forth. And for about 20 minutes, we just had a conversation. And I was telling him, son, Tom Brady, I'm talking about my teammate from 20 years ago, right? He went to Michigan, and they were always trying to start this guy named Drew Henson. And then they'd bring Tom off the bench to win the game. And this is his whole career. And then on draft day, he doesn't even get drafted the first day, and he drops to the 6th round, pick 199. Tom Brady had this chip on his shoulder, and it has fueled him to be the GOAT. I'm like, son, all these emotions, don't bury it. Don't suppress it. Let it out and be mad. And it's okay. And then we just kept talking about learning how to access this different part. And I was telling him last night, I'm like, son, this is why I said, when we get in the weight room and we step onto the practice field and we step onto the court for practice being aggressive, practice being angry, practice controlling your emotions and channeling it for fuel to increase how you perform. And a lot of other words were shared last night that I won't share here. And I'm telling you now, why is this important? Because as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, even as a husband, a father, for some of you, a wife, a mother, a partner, a lover, some of you guys don't ever access this part of you. You think that because you're Christian and what would Jesus do, that you're supposed to be nice all the time. I got some news for you. Okay. When you get on the football field or the basketball court or the volleyball court, when you get there, your job is not to be friends with people. Your job is not to be nice. Your job is to win. Your job is to be a leader and to raise the standards and to raise your performance. So something I've told my sons all the time, you've got to learn how to activate and then frequently access this piece of you, this beast inside of you. A person who knows, hey, when it's time to go practice and play football, all I do is win. And I'm going to get better every practice, every step, every rep, every mental visualization rep that you take. And I'm telling my son, look, he's a nice kid. My son is kind of like his dad and mom. He's big heart, loves to please people, loves to make people feel good. So sometimes, and then we grow up in the church, this Christian church where we believe in Christ and we believe in God and being kind. And I'm like, look, son, there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place to go whoop someone, whoop somebody. And there's a time and a place to kneel down and sing Kumbaya and hold hands and pray. And I'm like, if you're not accessing and activating this part of you frequently, if you're not practicing being aggressive and loud, if you're not practicing channeling every rep, every step like it's perfect, like it's go time, there's no question in my mind, you are not performing to the greatest of your ability. So how do you actually activate and access this person frequently? I want to give you a few things to help you that I shared with my son last night. And something I want to share, especially if you're a high school athlete, especially if you're a collegiate athlete, and even if you're a professional athlete, sometimes our belief systems limit us from getting to the highest level because we think we're supposed to be a certain way. And this was my experience. I became converted to Jesus when I was about 14 years old, and I started to fall in love with reading scriptures and prayer. And there was this dilemma, right? Because you get onto the court and you're trying to be great, but then I would am I supposed to, where does church and where does being kind and loving? Look, I'm just going to tell you right now, my experience now, and here we go. Number one, get into the mindset where when it's time to step on the field or the court, it's mostly for practice. They flip the switch. That's what we're going to call this, right? Flip the switch. And it is a conscious decision when you're driving to practice and, you've got music and my boys are like, all right, Dad, we've got practice, put some music on. So I'll put a little bit of music on and I talk to him. I'm like, son, you got to flip a switch. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're going to have to flip the switch that says, okay, I'm Israel, or I'm Judah or I'm Setema, this loving person. But when I step into the gym, I flip the switch. I mentally turn the gears and dials, click, 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 click. And it's time to raise it, get my energy up. So how do you flip the switch in your life? You're going to have to determine that. Cause look, there's a switch that I flip when I get home. I'm in business mode, work mode, high energy, commitment, agreement. Let's go. But when I come home, guess what I got to do? I flip the switch into 5-star world-class dad mode. So for you, especially in sports, learn how to flip this switch, right? That's one of the most important things you can do, flip the switch. Number two, focus in. There's a task at hand. So yesterday was leg day in the gym and we're doing legs. And I know if I'm going to get under heavy weight, I better focus. And my focus is on the technique and on the breathing and on the repetition, right? There's a technique involved. There's breath control involved. And then there's a repetition in the movement. Even if you're playing basketball, the way you post up on the blocks, the way you position your defender on your back, the way you hold your hand out, every step, every pass that you catch, every layup, every step of defense and shuffle and sliding. It matters. And if you don't practice aggressive, flip the switch, then focus on the breathing, the technique, on the repetition. Focus on it. What would you have to do to give yourself an extra boost? And you gotta think, I'm not in church. And I use the word church because I go to church. This was a challenge I had growing up. But sometimes I can't distinguish, like, is this the right thing? Am I supposed to be this mad? I got news for you, athletes. I got news for you, business owners. Yes. Yes. Learn how to, like, access this person inside of you frequently. So number one, flip the switch for practice. When you're on your way to practice, flip the switch. Get your mind ready to go. Number two, once you get there, focus on the breathing and the technique, and focus on the repetition, whether you're swinging the bat, hitting the ball, setting, passing, like shooting the ball, making a block, whatever the repetitions are, every rep ought to be perfect or near perfect, and not just the physical rep. The mental rep, like your breath control, your technique, the intensity. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm teaching my son this last night, and I'm always teaching them. Look, you will play how you practice. So if you practice soft and nice and kind, you're going to get your ass handed to you. As a human being, life's going to hit you in the stomach. Life's going to kick you in the teeth. Life will deliver you many blessings. Life will deliver you gifts and incredible, right, lessons. But you got to learn how to, number one, flip the switch. Number two, you got to learn how to focus in on technique, breathing, and repetitions. And then number three, push it to the limit. Like I can hear Rick Ross, push it to the limit. Right? I think it was in like 2006 or something, his song. How would you ever know how much you could go if you don't ever push? You don't ever push yourself. Right? And remember, when people are physically the same, competitors, when they are the same, like when you're the same physically, the difference is going to be the mentality. The mentality will make the difference. The mindset and your ability to activate and access this person inside of you that can perform at a higher level, flipping the switch, frequently flipping the switch, frequently focusing and practicing being a beast, practicing being aggressive, practicing perfect reps and technique, and over and just increasing that level of power. You will notice a big difference in how you then show up to the games. MJ, right, Michael Jordan, the word was said that he made practices harder than the game. People were like, dude, games were easy. Practicing with MJ, golly, that guy, like he knew how to get the most out of you. So what does this mean for you, right? Let's just shift focus here. How would you apply this lesson of activating and accessing this person, flipping the switch and focusing in, breath, technique, repetition? How would you apply this? Well, number one, physically, when you go work out, flip the switch, right? There's a switch that needs to be flipped physically, mentally, emotionally, raw. And sometimes you just got to get focused in spiritually. When it's time to go into spirituality, meditation, studying scriptures, I flip the switch. There's a very godlike, divine person inside of me that I want to find and practice, right? Frequently accessing this spiritual component inside of me, right? To God, to the Holy Spirit, to the voice. Relationally, I got a date night tonight with my goddess. Yeah, tonight we got date night. I'm shooting this on a Thursday. We're going to watch a movie, get some dinner. I learned how to flip the switch. I'm going to bring the lover out, right? I'm going to bring the Mr. Lover. I'll bring him out. And I'm going to be texting my wife today. I'm going to be, seducing and using some foreplay. Cause again, I know how to flip the switch to bring out who needs to be brought out. And of course, financially, man, you better learn how to flip this switch. Cause if you don't, you're going to be living on government assistance. I was there one time. And then you're going to be living in kind of like this average or mediocre state financially. Nobody wants that. Come on, let's be real. If you could build your business or work your job or be the best you could be, wouldn't you? So flip the switch, figure out the technique and the repetitions and the type of breathing and focus you got to have. This principle can be applied across the board, but I'm talking to athletes specifically because my sons are growing up. Learning how to access that part frequently and consistently will give you incredible, immense power to produce and to perform at higher levels, which leads you to championships, greater money, greater health, greater wealth, greater happiness. I'm speaking from personal experience. So, like, to sum this podcast up, I hope that you will try this on. Practice flipping the switch. Practice frequently. Practice, train, rehearse. And how do you ever expect to get better if you don't practice being this way? And like, I don't want to be a bull in a china shop 24/7, right? There's a time and a place to flip a switch to go squat 500 pounds. There's a time and a place to get ready to go execute on marketing videos and ads and then serving clients and going live on social media and writing the book. And there's a time and a place to activate the listener, the 5-star world-class father, 5-star daddy, the lover for my wife, the gentle giant. So this can be applied across all phases and facets of life. If this has been helpful for you, my call to action to you is, what will you go do to flip the switch today? What will you go do to access this beast inside of you? What will you do to fuel, like letting anger fuel you and all this, what people say about you, letting that fuel you and channel it into production and performance? All right, my friends, if this has been helpful, tag me, take a screenshot, let me know you listening. Let me know what's making a difference for you. I appreciate you listening. Have a wonderful day. I'm out.
Let's go! This is your daily revolution. Living prosperity, we show you how to do it. There's no luck about it, we got the strategic blueprint. This is your daily revolution. You already know. And if you don't, then check my resume. Turning pressure into possibilities every day. We all can win and live our unique purpose. We change our mindsets and put the work in. This is your daily revolution. Daily revolution. Revolution. Your daily revolution podcast.